You're about to listen to a Metal Express Radio exclusive interview. Head on over to metalexpressradio.com for our latest rock and metal interviews. And while you're there, check out our web radio, read our reviews, and rock and metal news. Enjoy the interview.
Hi, this is Mick Burgess. I'm backstage at the Middlesbrough Empire, and I'm joined today by Robbie Crane of Black Star Riders. Robbie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Doing very well. Well, you're currently on your UK tour, partway through the tour. How's the shows been going so far?
Amazing. I mean, it's the UK's always been really good to the band, and we all just are excited to be here playing, with a bunch of great other bands, Tax the Heat and Blues Pills and
Dirty Thrills.
Dirty Thrills, yeah. That's right. God, I always get it wrong.
I think they're on stage at this very moment.
The fact that I can remember even any of them other than Tax the Heat is pretty amazing. But it's good. It's been really cool. Yeah.
Because you did quite an extensive tour at the start of the year, around about sort of March. Are these sort of 10 shows you're doing this time? It's sort of the second leg of the tour, and you're taking in some different territories this time.
Yeah, that was the idea, is just to hit some territories that people had requested that we hit, on the internet and whatnot. And we traditionally, do all the primary A markets and all that. Not that these are any less markets. They're just not as main city as our last tours, and so we figured we would do that before we moved on and called it a day on the Heavy Fire tour. Yeah.
But sometimes you find when you play the secondary locations that you get a more enthusiastic crowd because they're not spoiled as much. They don't get as many bands coming through, so they appreciate the ones that come through that bit more.
Yeah, it could be seen that way. I mean, for us, we're pretty lucky and blessed. All of the primary market, from London all the way to everywhere, Nottingham, everywhere, they're all great, and all the way to Leicester and everything. Yeah, everybody's just great, and the crowds are awesome. So we're very blessed. Yeah.
So what about the set list for this leg of the tour? How are you chopping and changing that?
This is the first. It's a new set list, obviously, and Ricky and Damon put it together. And to me, I think it's my favorite set list we've done so far, and. A few surprises, a few new songs in there that we haven't played live before, and a few, classics that we've played, and it's just the running order, the way we're going about it this time, and the way we're attacking the set list, if you will.
Yeah.
It seems to come off really well, and we're just really happy with the way it's going. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw you in Newcastle earlier this year, and like you said, we've seen you on a couple of tours before that, and each tour you play less of the Thin Lizzy stuff and more of the Black Star Rider stuff. You've got 3 albums of your own.
Yeah.
Do you feel you've got that confidence now that you don't have to sort of dip back onto the Thin Lizzy stuff as much now? You can just play your own material?
Yes. I personally don't feel like it was any conscious effort. I don't think. I think that I think as bands grow, they grow into themselves. I think when Black Star Rider started on the first album, I wasn't involved when Mark was in the band. And as to where we got to the Killer Instinct album, I think that Lizzy was not active anymore.
Yeah.
So it was a very why not? I mean, they're not active. Let's play some songs. Yeah. Scott was in the band. Let's play some songs Scott wrote and played on.
Well, why, you got Scott in the band. Why not play
listen, it's Scott's heritage as well, And Ricky and Damon obviously were in a part of the later Lizzy, band, and so why not play, the songs that they, Scott was known for, and I think as Lizzy became more active again, just my opinion, more active again, I think it was like, okay, well, that's an active band now. I think that we shouldn't lean on that band's material as much, and whether it was conscious or not, I mean, we just started doing the set list, and of course we want to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were at rehearsal the other day at John Henry, and Damon, Scott, and Chad and I were just jamming on Alibi and Hollywood and all the great Lizzy songs. And just great music. I mean, just to jam on and just to play is just great music. So, we love playing the Lizzy stuff, but like you've said, we've done 3 albums now. And there are some of our newer songs that we really love and we really want to play live and we want to introduce to people. So.
But they do sit really nicely alongside the Thin Lizzy songs. It could actually be off a Thin Lizzy album. It's got that spirit of Thin Lizzy, and obviously with Scott.
Well, I think it has more than the spirit. I mean, the reality is, I've said this in a few other interviews, is that when you have somebody like Scott Gorham that was a predominant member of a band for as long as he was, and he also wrote a lot with Phil, it's Scott's style, and it's natural for Scott to come in any situation that he's in, whether it be in Black Star Riders or in Thin Lizzy or in some other band, 21 Guns. for him to play and write in the style of in which he's always written in his life. So it's going to sound, people are like, you sound a lot like Thin Lizzy. I'm like, good, Scott, thank you. First of all, Scott Gordon's in the band. That's how he writes, you know?
It's like saying Dio, you sound a bit like Black Sabbath.
Yeah. You sound like the Heaven album. You know, it's just a natural progression for any player, you know?
Yeah,
so.
but it's nice being able to sort of dip back and cherry pick a few songs out of that if you want to.
Yeah, and again, it would be more at this stage. It's solely my opinion. It would be more just to pay respect for Scott, because Scott's an amazing person and an amazing band member, and he's not. You would be surprised that it's Scott Gordon from Thin Lizzy, but he doesn't walk around saying, "Hey, I'm Scott Gordon from Thin Lizzy." He's just a really cool guy to be around. Really easy to work with, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Did you ever get to see Thin Lizzy back in the day?
I did not. Unfortunately. Yeah, you did. See, I'm from Hollywood and in Los Angeles, and we didn't get much Lizzy, and it was in the early '70s, late '70s when we did. And I was, 10 or 12, so I wasn't able to actually get out and see it as much. Yeah,
just a young lad.
Yeah, well, I'm older, but but just on the cusp.
Yeah. But I mean, back to this too. You've mentioned Tax the Heat, Blues Pills, and Dirty Thrills, which is a great bill of up and coming newish bands.
Sure.
I mean, what did you make of it when they sort of pitched that to you? 3 bands.
Well,
to open for you.
Yeah, so like our last tour we did with Gun and the Amorettes, and we love Gun are great guys, and they have a UK presence here, and
Backyard Babies as well.
That's right, and then it eventually turned to Backyard Babies, and we had never toured with Backyard Babies either, and it was such a great bill. We had such a great time on that tour. We really wanted to do something a little different than we did last time. They were mostly rock bands. I think predominantly, especially with Blues Pills, there's a little bit more of a blues thing going on. Yeah. And the first band as well, Dirty Thrills, they have a bit of a bluesy thing going on, which is really cool. And Tax the Heat's just an amazing pop band. We love those guys, and Jack Taylor, he's a family to us. And so when it was pitched to us, we all went and listened, and we were like, wow, great band, really cool, different vibe, very cool. And to see Blues Pills every night live is just... They're amazing.
Erin Larson's an incredible singer.
She's amazing and an incredible performer and she's really awesome. So the band's awesome, so we're really excited to have her.
She's very difficult to photograph, though. She doesn't stand still very much.
That's a good thing, right? Janis Joplin did too, right? Yeah. No, they do a cover of Jefferson Airplane's "Do You Want Somebody to Love," and I shouldn't be giving it away, but it's amazing. She's really great.
Since you played in Newcastle, you had a lineup change with Jimmy heading off and Chad joining. Yeah. Did Jimmy just, he's a busy guy, did he just want to try something different?
No, I think it was I don't want to say it was a long time coming. I think Jimmy brought me into the band. Jimmy and I had played with Kerry Kelly together in a Russian thing, and Jimmy was the one who called me and asked me if I wanted to audition for the band.
Oh, that's good.
And so it was through Jimmy that I met Black Star Riders and got the gig. And I love Jimmy's drumming, and Jimmy and I played very well together, and I love Jimmy. I think Jimmy just he is a musician like all of us, and he had an opportunity to play in that band Ratt, which I was a part of at one time. And I think that for Jimmy, I know his heart was in Black Star Riders and he would love to have stayed, but it unfortunately with the schedules, just didn't. It wouldn't have worked where Jimmy would have had to leave the tour. We would have had to get somebody to replace him. Jimmy DeGrasse was not an easy drummer to find somebody just off the street to replace. And he truly is not. His drumming is phenomenal. And so it was kind of came to a thing where it was like, you either have to do this or you have to do that. And unfortunately, he was already committed to the Ratt thing. And so we had to find somebody else. So we auditioned a few drummers, and Damon and Ricky and our manager Adam Parsons had known Chad from a tour they did with Lizzy, opening for Priest. He was playing with Black Label Society. Chad was the drummer. It was in Australia or something. At any rate. They met Chad, and so they had Chad in mind, and playing with Chad's been great. Chad, it's a different style of drumming, and and he's younger than us, and but it's a great energy, and he's a wonderful person. He's just one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's got a great heart on him, and I think he brings something very different to the band as to what Jimmy brought. You know what I mean? So. It's for me as the bass player and drummer, it's taking a little bit to get used to, but it's great. He's great.
That's where I was, where I was going to come on to next. Bass player and the drummer, you're seen as the unit, the engine room of the band. So, how do you adapt when a different drummer comes in? What do you have to sort of go away and rehearse just you two together for a while?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I've always taken like a sports team approach to things. You know, it's about the team, and you have to find a way to mesh together and to, you know, to work for the better, the whole of the sum, and no, you know, Chad and I, you know, we've just worked on what we do. You know, Jimmy and I had the benefit of doing records together, and had the benefit of playing together prior to that. And Jimmy is very much it's very much a dance, as you know, any coordinated effort with two individuals. And he led very well, and I was always willing to follow. And so with Chad, we're just finding that happy medium, you know, where each other are at, and a different style. I've played with a lot of drummers in my time, a lot of great drummers, and Chad's, you know, great, and it's you know, we're getting there. It's getting there pretty good. Yeah.
We've got plenty of practice over the next few days.
Yeah, no, mate. I mean, we've got a tour, and this one. I mean, you know, Jimmy and I come from the same era, if you will. I mean, he's a little bit older than me, but we come from the same era, so it's very easy for he and I just to be like, you know, oh yeah, you know, we got that. You know, we both love Van Halen, we both love all the Ozzy and all that, and Sabbath and all that, and so we immediately were like, you know, boom, and you know, we just started playing together, and it just clicked.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a generational gap here with Chad, and an age gap, obviously, and that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing, and if anything, it's made me go, oh, you know, I can't just sit back and rest on the laurels of what I've, you know, put out musically in my past. I have to be willing to, you know, to meet him halfway, and it's been great. Yeah.
Then your job's to introduce him to all those great bands we grew up with.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to this. Like, you think that's good? Listen to this.
Yeah, he knows some of them, but he's also knows some bands. You're like, don't listen to that.
Because when you first joined the music for Killer Instinct, because you came for the second album, that all been pretty much written at that time, or were you there for the start?
Well, some of the songs I was around for. Like the first show I did with the band was in Hopeworth in July. July of 14th. Yeah, that July of 2014. That was my first gig I had done with them, and I had the benefit of coming out on the road. They were on an American tour just prior to that in May of 14 with Marco on bass, and when they had chosen me to be the guy after I auditioned, and I came out on the road for a week with them and just kind of hung out on the bus.
All right, so there was that sort of nice changeover there.
It was amazing, because I really didn't know any of the guys. I knew Jimmy a little bit, but not any of the other guys. And so I came out on the road for a week, and I had the pleasure of being able to be out with Marco, which is amazing. I mean, people see the player and they meet the musician, or you know, but just to be around him was just an amazing experience. He's a wonderful guy, and he's got a heart of gold, and an amazing player. And I have little personal private videos of he and I, because he'd stay up late every night, and I would just sit there to have the one-on-one time to pick his brain, and he would play my bass, and he would play some just amazing stuff, and I would ask him about some of the parts on the record. You know, how'd you do that? Oh wow, you know, like the descending parts on All Hell Breaks Loose when he does the doo 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 doo, and on the second build up. And
did you not say, oh, it's too hard for you?
No,
you'll never be able to play what I can play.
He Marco and I've crossed the paths on a lot of gigs. You know, he did the Lynch Mob gig prior to me. And then he also did this pop artist named Daniel Powder that had a bad day. Day. He did the record, and I had done the tours.
He did the Cranberries as well, didn't he?
With the Dolores, or whatever her name is.
That's right.
Yeah. So we've crossed paths on a lot of gigs, and he's just an amazing musician and a great guy, and very cool. So I had the pleasure of being able to be out with them for a week.
Yeah.
And so the transition for me to join the band was amazing. It was really kind of seamless, and at least musically for me, and so I was very blessed just to be able to meet all of that and kind of get to know the guys, and then come into the UK and just kind of get it going in 14. So my first show was there at the at Homeforth.
It's a nice venue, though.
Yeah, it's great. And Ricky wrote. I remember Ricky in the backstage looking at me, going, because I didn't know how Ricky was. I'd never been around him. He just started playing the guitar, and he's looking at me, and he's just kind of looking at me. And he goes, "I got a new idea." And then he started playing, and which ended up being 90% of Finest Hour, which was our single on that record. So on the Killer Instinct record, so a lot of the songs we were around each other for. Most of them had been prior written with Damon and Ricky, and then I was there for pre-production. We got into pre-production in Nashville with Nick Reskalenix, our producer, and we worked up the songs there, and so for me, I wasn't around for the writing aspect of it. I was around when some of the songs were written or in that time frame. But when we got in the studio, we all did it together. Which was really cool.
Yeah. But you had more of a hands-on approach for your latest record, though, and you co-wrote Cold War Love and Dancing with the Wrong Girl.
Yes. Hands-on. Yeah, a little bit of the same. Damon and Ricky are very welcoming with regard to songwriting. They're machines. I don't know if people.
I've spoken to them both before, and they're very prolific.
I've been around a lot of musicians, a lot of great writers and stuff, but Damon and Ricky are year-round writers. They write all the time, whether it be for this band or just their private stuff, their solo stuff for other artists. They're continually writing, and a lot of artists or musicians I've been around aren't like that. It's like we have a record coming up, we have to write songs. But in this band, it's very different. So they've always been very encouraging to, Ricky will say, hey, if you have any ideas, just send them over to me, and so which is always nice to hear. And some people take advantage of that, and some people don't. I write a lot of parts and ideas, and I just would record it on my little iPhone and text them away, and on guitar. And so just by chance, they were in California writing, Damon and Ricky, and they were working on an idea, and I came up with the little pattern for Cold War Love. And I was like, wow, I just had this idea, and I texted it to Ricky and Damon, and they came right back and said, we were working on this idea that it worked perfect. And I was like, really? Wow. And it just so happened to be Cold War Love. And with Dancing with the Wrong Girl, Ricky, I had just had this riff. I sent it to Ricky. Ricky augmented it, slowed it down, and it turned out to be the riff in Dancing with the Wrong Girl. So yeah, I've had some input, and which is, again, I'm thankful that they've been so welcoming, because they don't have to be. They could very easily just say, "Thanks, mate, we've got it covered." Yeah. But you really feel a part of something when they're accepting of all aspects of you, whether it just be the live gigs or the records. Yeah. So
I love the way you can just record your demos on a phone these days. Cause I know
it's changed how we all do it. Yeah.
Because I remember Buck Dharma once describing how he did the demo for Don't Fear the Reaper on a little portable 4-track. But we'll say portable.
It wasn't
that portable, really.
Yeah, no, back in the day.
And the drum track you had to do on a couple of books. You had a couple of books needed with pens and pencils.
I've done that. I used to do on the carpet. I would go. With a microphone.
Yeah.
on my old Tascam 4-track cassette,
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing now. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
I mean, another way things have changed is how you get your records out to your fans, and this was on a PledgeMusic campaign.
Sure.
I mean, why did you decide to sort of do the initial sale through PledgeMusic? Because you're on Nuclear Blast.
Well, I don't think there was a sale through PledgeMusic. What we did with Pledge was solely we had toured with Stiff Little Fingers. Ricky did a solo record, and it was Ricky Warwick and the Fighting Hearts, and I had played.
That's right. Yes. I saw Newcastle doing that.
Yeah. Prior to doing any Black Star Rider records, I joined the band already. Ricky asked me if I wanted to play a few songs on his record. I ended up playing a couple of tracks on his record, and which eventually turned into me doing on the tour, the first, playing on the first tour he did. And we had toured with Stiff Little Fingers, and they had done a thing where they had some fans.
They did, yeah.
And they pledged, and they came out and got to play with the band at soundcheck, and we thought that was the coolest thing. And people go, oh yeah, you're making money. It's like there's no money really involved.
Yeah.
The money that comes into Pledge, they take a piece of it. They get the people who buy the package are getting,
Yeah, you don't have to buy it.
Correct, but they're also getting a T-shirt and all all the stuff that comes along with it, and so at the end, I mean, the band, if there's any profit left, it's really little, and we just thought it was cool, the idea to give people the opportunity to come play with the band.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you know what I mean? And just kind of hang out with us and laugh with us and play with us.
And what was the standard like? Did you get people that could play, or more importantly, did you get people who couldn't play a note but just got up for a bit of a laugh?
Everybody. Literally, I was impressed. We were all impressed with how serious they took it for themselves. They really wanted to come and play with the band and meet us and hang out and just see what it was like. And it was great. I mean, we had everyone from 4-year-old little boy or 6-year-old little boy that played drums and Jimmy set the kit up for him, and he got up and he'd play, and he could reach everything, and Jimmy would come up from behind and kind of tap a cymbal to kind of keep him in time, and he would look back at Jimmy like get off
my drums.
It was awesome, and his mom brought him down, and he played great. And then there were some older people that came down that were just wanted to play guitar with Scott, and there were some bass players that came down that wanted to play bass, and there were some singers, and everybody was great.
I mean, fantastic.
It was just such a good time, and it was cool just to play with other people and see the smiles on their faces. So we were appreciative and happy for everybody. So that was the whole PledgeMusic thing. If you pledged a certain amount, you got your name on there, and you got your name on the record on a little flyer sheet, and you know there were just different levels of pledge. You also got records and certain things. So our Nuclear Blast release was through Nuclear Blast. The Pledge people didn't, you know, it wasn't.
It was just a nice little extra.
Sure, you know, if you wanted to buy it, cool. If you didn't, there was no pressure, and people bought it. It was cool.
Because I think Ricky, I don't know if it was through on his solo album or it was he did the tour of Northern Ireland. So he did that. I thought, because I'm really into history and stuff like that. I would have loved to have done something like that. I wasn't too familiar, but I remember that he took somebody around and did a whole tour of his whole life there, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, you're primarily a live band. You've got 3 studio albums out. Back in the 70s, the tradition was 3 studio albums and you get a live album. Oh, we've got a live album coming up?
Well, you know, I won't say yes and I won't say no. But I will say that if we did put a live album out, I think it would be a part of something as opposed to just a standalone live album. I mean, I think it's very traditional for people to just to say, all right, put a live album out now. It's like you just called it. It's like going to a football match and everybody's sitting there going, you know, okay, I know what play they're going to run. You know what I mean? Yeah. They've run those 3. The 4th one's coming now. I mean, it would be a little too obvious. Yeah. So I would hope that we would have the wherewithal and the creativity and to just be different and maybe not. This band, I've always found that most bands that would put out the 4th live album is because of a shortage of song output.
But you got plenty of songs.
That's the problem. We have so many. There's plenty of writing going on, and there's the creative elements and juices are flowing. So we'll see. I mean, you know, again, if there is a live album that comes, I'm assuming it would be attached to something as opposed to just a standalone. Please buy this because we want a tour.
You know what I mean? But it's there in the background if you need it. If you need to draw on that, you got to do.
And so was the Greatest Hits album. But you know, I saw this thing with Tom Petty, and Tom Petty was like, he was saying, you know, the record label wanted to put a lot of Greatest Hits out, and he's like, no way, man, I don't want to put a Greatest Hits in. It was in the contract, and he's like, you know, but it ended up sending 10 million records, so a lot he knew. Right? He was like, a lot I know about that. Well, he says it like a lot I know about that. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I kind of leave that up to Monty and everybody at the label. They've been really good to us. And they've really done a great job of helping this band create the market that it's created for itself, and to build the band as a record band and a studio album band, and give us the opportunity to be able to put our music out there, which has been great. So Adam, our manager, and Monty and everybody at Nuclear Blast have been very instrumental in helping us with that.
Fantastic. I mean, you were a member of Ratt for quite some time, on and off for the last 20 years. You played with Stephen Pearce and Warren and Bobby, and then Bobby's band as well. It must upset you to see the both parts of the same band sort of falling out with each other. Really, it must be quite hard to say that.
Yes, it is. I mean, from the top of it, it's a heartbreaking thing to see all of the people that you care about. I spent 16 years in that band, and you want good for all of them. I care for all of those people. But having said that, there was always a really heavy underlaying of tension and drama in that band, and they will say, and people will say, well, there's always that in the band, and I would beg to differ. That in this band there's no tension or drama.
It must be quite comforting when you're out of a conflict situation in a band that sort of cooperates and gets on a personal level as well.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that there have to be some guests. Not everyone can be the chef. You know what I mean? And some people have to be willing to let themselves just to trust in the process with others, and that some people are self-appointed and some people aren't, and I care for all of those guys. I'm happy that Bob was able to go and play some music on his own, and I was happy to play with Bob because I love Bob. But I'm I think the price that it cost to have done that, I don't think was worth it. And I think that for Bob, and I think that it's unfortunate, and I think that my ultimate hope is that they will all, see beyond what's happened, and that time will heal all wounds, and that they will eventually do something together as the remaining members of the band.
Well, as the Eagles said, when hell freezes over, and then they did the tour.
I'm with you. I have so many friends who go, that will never happen.
Yeah.
I used to play with Vince from Motley Crue, and they would, he will never go back to Motley Crue. And I was like, please. Like, if they could do it right now, they would. And I love John Crosby's my mate, and we've been mates well before any of that happened, but I always knew Vince was going to go back to Motley Crue.
Yeah, and they said now that that's it, that they wrote a contract, and they went out on tour with Alice Cooper as the special guest, and Alice said if they renege on the contract, he's going to guillotine them all.
Well, I truly believe that they won't get back together. I really believe that they won't. I think that Vince is doing great on his solo stuff. I think Nicky's content with doing what he's doing. I just think...
I think Mick's working with John Corabi, isn't he?
No, I think that constitutes a member of Motley Crue. And I think legally he can't.
All right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's because John was a member of Motley Crue, so I think it legally constitutes one of the members of Motley Crue.
Because I've interviewed them both, and they both said they wanted to work with each other again.
Well, they did, and they did record something.
Yeah.
But I think, I could be completely wrong. I know that John and I have talked about it briefly, and that he initially was like, yeah, man, everything's going great. And then it was like, well, I don't think we can do that. But who knows? I don't know. I'm not a part of that.
Yeah,
so.
at least he's got the Dead Daisies to keep him busy.
Yeah,
and that's
the
pretty
Dead
great,
Daisies are great, man. I'm so happy. Those are all my friends in that band. I love it.
You two need the two together. That would be the perfect double act, wouldn't it?
I would love to. Listen, Marco's awesome. Doug's great. Brian was in the band. I don't know the drummer now.
They've got Dean Castronova.
Yeah. I know of him, obviously, but I don't know him. I've never met him. But John and I were in Ratt together for 8 years. John's my mate. I love him very much, and I've known him since I was 17.
Yeah.
And so we've been friends forever.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just outside of Black Star Riders, have you got any other projects on the go you're looking at?
Black Star Riders is my main band. I've always been a little ADD minded in that I can only focus on one thing, and so I've done a bunch of other jam bands and all that, but I stopped doing that about in 2012. Playing with multiple bands, because for me it's just I have a family now, and I just want my time off. I want to be time off. You know what I mean? And I want to be able to focus on what we're doing in this band, and I think it's great that everybody does stuff. That's to each his own. I think it's great that Ricky and Damon have the Johnson Warwick thing, and as well as the Lizzy thing with Scott when they go out and they do that. And I think that's amazing. But Jimmy and I were talking. Jimmy was like, oh man, I don't know, they should be doing that. And I was like, go do it.
Yeah.
It's better for me at home. I can be home with the kids.
Got some time off.
Nobody's like, let's go. We gotta go. And so I'm happy for them, and I don't have it. The Fighting Hearts was more than enough for me to do. And I did some stuff last year with Sebastian Bach, and so I'll do little things here and there, but nothing that I'm going to commit to, or that you're going to see in the press.
So 2018, do you think we've got a new studio album coming up?
I would imagine that would be the plan. You know what I mean? Of course. I know we have Priest in the fall. The spring.
Priest
in America and Saxon, which is just it's gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna jump off stage and shower and eat and be like standing on the side of the stage watching. Do you know what I mean? Saxon and then Priest.
I think if there's 3 bag carriers going on the tour bus, I think we might volunteer for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That tour needs to come over here.
I hope it does. We're very honored and thankful to be a part of that, and it's going to be awesome. So we look forward to that in next year, and then we have some minor stuff in the summer, and our traditional pattern is that we like to go to Nashville and record with Nick August, September. So I think that might be the plan, and we'll see. And God, if something else comes up, we get taken out with Iron Maiden, who's one of my favorite bands. Great, then I'm sure we'd be happy to push it back. But I think that's the plan for now. Yeah.
Robbie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Best luck with the show tonight, and
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
You've just listened to a Metal Express Radio exclusive interview. Head on over to metalexpressradio.com for our latest rock and metal interviews. And while you're there, check out our web radio, read our reviews, and rock and metal news.